Hello and welcome to the Channel M Football Debate Show. Joining me and Ian this evening, Simon Mullock from the Sunday Mirror and the broadcasting legend and author that is Fred Eyre. We also want you to get involved as well, so do drop us a line to the usual address, today at channelm.co.uk. So, Fred, Simon, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Manchester City, Liverpool, Fred, nightmare.
It was, I'm sad to say. I've been looking forward to it so much with so many good players potentially on view. So, just like everybody else, it turned into a bitter disappointment, really.
Simon?
I agree completely. I mean, some people have tried to turn it into an interesting tactical battle between two top European managers. Well, no, didn't do anything for me. I thought it was a very poor game.
Now, Ian, you're obviously a bit younger than us, so when we think about great Liverpool sides, we think about Graham Souness and Kenny Dalglish. That Liverpool side, they were uninspiring.
Yeah, I don't. Did they have a shot on target all game? If they did, I've forgotten it already. I think Adebayor had obviously had one for City, but they weren't really playing expansive football, were they, Fred?
No, it was poor fare, it has to be said. Hopefully that'll be out of the system from now on, because there's still a lot of games to play. But certainly, if we're going to focus on that particular game, and there was not really one endearing quality in it. And then when you think people like Steven Gerrard were playing, and Adebayor, you know, talented footballers, it was just a non-event. I'm really sad to report.
Right, well, we'll let the Scousers sort their own world out, but Simon, let's have a look at that City performance. They decided to try a different centre-back combination in Kompany and Lescott. What did you think of that?
Well, I mean, obviously it worked. They kept a clean sheet, and I thought both players played well. But it was quite easy to play well in City's defence yesterday because Liverpool didn't throw any men forward at all. They were never under any kind of pressure. I quite like the pairing, to be honest. I think if Lescott can get back to the form that he was showing just before he was injured, Kompany's been probably the most consistent defender all season. I think those two could make a go of it.
Now, Fred, me and you have spoken a lot about Manchester City, and I have this theory, which I'd like to bounce off you, is that when I look at City centre-backs, to me, they all look like the other one. Not a proper centre-half a la Dave Watson or, say, Big Jack Charlton amongst them.
Absolutely. Well, I'd be happy in an ideal world with any of the centre-backs, one of them, playing alongside a Tony Adams, a Terry Butcher, Jack Charlton, as you've mentioned, Big Dave Watson. But we haven't got that. So at the moment we're unable to have what I consider to be an ideal pairing. But from the combination, I think the one that played on Sunday is possibly the best.
Did you see that combination? Because he'd actually said post-match that Toure was carrying a knee injury. I just wondered if that was more
an excuse,
diplomatic way of excusing his absence.
Well, you've got the factor, of course, that Kolo Toure is the captain, so you'd expect that he'd try his best to get him in whatever side, whichever pairing he's got. But at the end of the day, if you know, a performance like yesterday, a clean sheet against Liverpool, albeit not a fantastic Liverpool team in an attacking sense, but if they played well and they formed a good partnership, then why not stick with them? Although it would seem unlikely that you're going to leave your captain out every week, you know, in the first choice scenario, of course.
Well, there's a lot of money been spent on the back line, Simon, but we were talking before we started on air that you think the goalkeeper is part of this equation as well. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I mean, usually, as Fred said, you have one centre-half that plays and another centre-half that attacks absolutely everything, particularly when it's in the air. It gets even more difficult when you've not got a goalkeeper who is a natural collector of crosses. That means the defenders seem to drop back a little bit deeper than they would naturally, and that can cause a few problems as well.
Now, Fred, one thing that intrigued me over recent weeks, we didn't see it yesterday because Vieira wasn't available, but when we have this situation of playing three holding midfielders, even by Italian standards, isn't that a bit overcautious, Fred?
I would think so. I don't know whether we were thinking in the past when he was thinking in terms of Vieira, you know, box to box, making late runs into the box, adding his colossal height to certain situations, but we're not going to get that off him anymore. So I think we've got to regard him more as a defensive one. So it's true that there has been occasions when he's selected three, but Stephen Ireland started the game on Sunday, and I'm just willing him to recapture his form from the past, but it's not happening for him at the moment. I don't know how long. Time is one thing that you don't get. I mean, it'd be lovely to just give Stephen Ireland the shirt and say, there you are, I'm going to play you until you play your way back into the form that we know you're capable of. But you know, time's something you don't get in football these days, and I don't know how long you can keep giving him before you try something different.
Well, what intrigues me about Stephen Ireland, Simon, that for most of last season he would have been there or thereabouts as most fans and probably most pundits player of the season for City. He looks a shadow of that now, doesn't he?
I can't understand why. It was the same even when Mark Hughes was a manager, and he's not picked up even since Mancini's come in. There was a problem that he was asked to play a more withdrawn role for a while at the start of the season. But even when he's been given that freedom to get forward, just doesn't seem to be the same player. I just wonder whether, it's well publicised that he likes to train a lot, and I just wonder whether he's actually overtrained. He looks tired, he looks jaded.
Are you a Stephen Ireland fan, Ian?
Yeah, and I think what we're talking about, the type of player that Stephen Ireland is, he offers something that perhaps some of the other midfielders don't. You know, that support to the front man that is absolutely vital, I think, when you're playing with, specifically two defensive midfielders. I wonder with Stephen Ireland a bit whether him being in and out of the team's affecting him probably more than you'd expect, perhaps.
Possibly, but like Fred says, it's difficult when you're in a team that's challenging for the top four to get the run of games in the position you want if you're not producing the performances. Because there's always other players that will come in and take that position.
Right, Fred, now I've got you perfectly positioned on that couch. You're as comfortable as a scatter cushion. Here's the question I want you to solve for me. Start of the season, we knew that it would take a while for players to gel, that we'd see moves break down because of lack of understanding, but we saw these little moments of magic, and we were all hoping the magic was going to go that way and the misunderstandings would go that way. Where's me magic now, Fred?
Well, the magic's disappeared at the moment. It's disappeared with Bellamy's form. At the beginning, we saw Tevez at the best. We've not seen him for 3 games. Bellamy, prior to his absence, had a couple of below-par games, which he's entitled to because he was so startling at the beginning. Adebayor was a sensation. I knew he was a good player, but those first 3 or 4 games, I was astonished at how good he was.